A preface with Hakar Satov to Carol and Teddy Trachtenberg sponsoring the shir this evening with Siyata Dishma in memory of her dear father Ronald Rosenfeld, Yerachmiel Zev, Ben Avram, David, Oliver Shalom, the Heilige Neshama Shemizocha to a tremendous and continuous Aliyah and Neshama Gan Eden Shamayla Mechoyel Lechoyel Emet Hashem. As we turn with Siyata Dishma to the opening narrative of this week's Parshas Metzora. Steht in Pasuk Zos Tia Torah Samatzora B'Yom Ta'arasa V'Huval HaKohen. So we're speaking now about the process of how the Metzora, the one afflicted with leprosy, will go about purifying himself. Continues the Mikra V'Yotza HaKohen HaMechutz L'Machaneh Avra HaKohen V'Nein Yirpo Negat Tzas Minet Zerua. And what is he going to do? V'Tziva HaKohen V'Lokach Lamitar Shtei Tziporim Chayis Tahoros. There's a lot spoken about, obviously, the idea of the Ramazim alluded to, and Davka taking in Eitz Erez, Davka the Shni Solas Veizov, the idea of Anivus, of humbling oneself. But one has to wonder, why is he taking Shtei Tziporim Chayis? Why is he taking two birds? What's the idea of the two birds, right? The Heilige Rashi, Alpi, the Gemara, and Erech and Tazayin, or Beis Gemara, and Chulun Kuf Mem as well. Zok the Heilige Rashi. Based on the Gemara Erchet says Vavamad based, and what is Lashon Hara? Who Maisem Pitpute Devarim. A person is chirping away, speaking away, word after word. So what's he going to be bound by? He wants to purify himself. He has to go Mida Kenegah and take B'davka Tziporim, who are Mefatfifin Tamid but Siftsiv Kol. They're always chirping away. They're always speaking away, and that's the idea of Tzipor. That's the idea of the bird. We mentioned in the past, Ramosha Wolfson and Amunas Itecha. What do we say in Zemiris? Shvochen Asader Safra V'Ramsha. Explain Ramosha Wolfson. And what's the idea? I will arrange my shvach to the Borei Olam when Safra Ramsha. It's Aramaic, of course, for the morning and the night. Why do we call the morning Lashon Safra? Lashon Tzibor, because who's singing to Hashem all throughout the hours of the day? The birds are chirping away to their Rebbeinu Shalom, and when the birds go to sleep and they retire for the night about Shkia time, and they return to the nest, who comes out? The crickets. The Shkotzim and Ramosim come out to sing the songs of the nighttime hours. Amela writes on Moshe Wolfson, Shvochen Asader, Tzafra V'Ramsha, I will be Masader, my Shvach and Tehillah, and Hodot to the Borei Olam 24 hours continuously. Hein in the Tzafra in the morning, when the Tzipor, Loshen Tzafra, when they're chirping away, and when they retire for the night and the crickets, the Ramosim come out, Ramsha, then I will still continue. Shvochen Asader, Tzafra V'Ramsha, by the birds and the crickets, I'm going to be chirping away all the time. Why, in fact, is a bird called a tzipor? The Rashbeitz writes, and his Sefer Mogin Avos, the Osios Tzipor Tzadi Pei Vav Reish, even though oftentimes, and this is something that Avnei Nezer bought in the Sefer Avarom explains why it's spelled oftentimes without a Vav, but Tzipor is what? Tzadi Pei Vav Reish. What are the four simonim that highlight that it's a kosher bird? Etzba Yisera. Let's take the second letter of the simonim. Etzba Yisera. Etzba Tzadi. Ayesh Lo Zefek. The Fei. Eina Dores. Vav. Karkiva Niklov, the Reish. Take the second letter of the four simonim and it spells in consequence. Tzadi Pei Vav Reish. That's why it's called a tzipor. A tzipor, of course, highlights the fact that it's an Ov Tahor. That's what Rabbeinu Machai writes in the beginning of Shmos. The wife of Moshe Rabbeinu was called Tzipora. Why? Mekeiman Shasuya Lehizgayer Uletares Beis Avia Kedama Tzipor. The tzipor highlights it's a Torah bird. Moshe Rabbeinu would marry B'davka Tzipora. In fact, the Ramban writes in Vayikra Yadala, that's why it's called the Tzipor Loshen Safra, because it gets up early in the morning to chirp away to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But we wanted to explain in the past that it's not coincidental that Moshe Rabbeinu marries a woman by the name of Tzipora. Because what do you get married for? Ezer Kenegda. What does the pasuk say? Bereshis Beis Yudches. Lo Helyos Lo Tavayos Anulado. The first and a one of only two times in all of Chamisha Chumshei Torah we encounter the terminology Lo Tov. You'll think about the second one. Pashas Yisrael. Lo Tavayos Anulado. Beis Yudches. The first of only two times in all of Chumash. Lo Tov. Se'el L'Solonizer. What do you need? You need an Ezer Kenegda. You need someone to be mashlim you. Zohar and Vayikra. Duchra Pa Gufa Mikri. It's two halves of one else. You need a woman to be mashlim you. So Moshe Rabbeinu, what's the only thing that he's lacking? The only thing he says about himself that he's deficient in? Kefi Dargis Roma Musa V'chulei Mod Be'av Neviim. What's the only thing he's missing? Lo Ish Devarim Anochi. He's Kva Pech. He's Chan Loshen. He's Oros Vasayim. Lo Ish Devarim. I don't speak too much. much. Hashem says, you don't speak too much. I'm going to send you. We know the average woman speaks a lot more. I read an article in Time magazine, the average male speaks about 7,000 words a day. The average female, about 22,000 words a day. Famous some say from the Goddess of Pesach, At Pesachlo, Ata. We always invoke the masculine gender. What do you mean At Pesachlo? Keva Ata. No, At. The Shena Yadil, he doesn't know how to open up his mouth. At. Make yourself in a keva. Then I just see it, so I call him Marble, Sabre, see it, so I raise him a Shubach. Zat some say for the night, see it, so I make yourself like a female. Speak as much as you want. Don't have it 7,000 words. Make sure you're speaking 22,000 words. So it's very geschmack. Moshe Rabbeinu says, well, who's he going to marry? He's going to marry a Tzipora. She's my father. She's always speaking. That's the idea of Tzipora. And we said she comes from a world of preachers. She comes from a world of Midja, Benos Moav, Benos Midja, right? So Menachem and Mishklov and Kisvei HaGramam, that the Moav represents the nadir, the abyss of all perversity and all depravity. That's why Moav, Mem, Vav, Aleph, Vezes come out to 49, because it explains on Menachem and Mishklov, Tamamuvik of the Gra, they correspond to the 49th level of Tumah. So here you have Moav and Midjan, you have Yisro Kohen Midjan, you have his daughter who emerges from the world of preachers, and she's Mahapech Etzem Atzmi Yus. She turns her entire Metzias upside down. She comes from all the preachers. The daughters of Midian and Moab are prutzas. So what do you have? You have a prutza. Mix around the letters. Someone who undergoes Geirus is what? 5 times in Shas. Yavamas Chabeis and Aleph. For Yavamas Chabeis again. We find Gershon's got a Gunshan Olodami. She reemerges. Take Osios prutza and mix around the letters. What do you get? Prutza. When the letters are intermingled, the Fianiastaiti, it emerges as a Tzipora. Tzipora. It's very geschmack. What's a prutza? Someone who is mushka in that world of Artzias, Chumrius, and Gashmias. What's the bird? The Maral says the most holy, the most Torah of all animals. It's the one that can elevate itself and uplift itself by flight and fly above the world of Artzias, Chumrius, and Gashmias. That's the Tzipor. Koheles per Gyur, that Tzipor, Yolaches HaKol. Kol, we know about Kol. Told us to Chavzai and Chabesh. HaKol Kol Yaakov. That's the Kol, that's Ruchni. That Tzipor, Yolaches HaKol. The Tzipor leaves the world of preachers of Artzias, Chumrius, and Gashmias, flies above the world, the Lamailam Natzeva. Tzipora, Osios, Prutza, intermingled. So Moshe Lois Dvar marries the Tzipora, that's Mefatve. It gets him early in the morning and it doesn't stop singing and speaking all day long. So that's on the Tzana Tov. What's in the Tzana Ra? On the Tzana Ra, you have, of course, someone who speaks Lashon Hara. Just parenthetically, a Gemaldig Remez. A beautiful Remez from the Sefer Sheris Menachem. Right, the Sheris Menachem, we know that Nagom come from Lashon Hara. That's Rashi Api Chazal, the whole Sugyan Erechin. Mela, what does the Gemara say in the Dharam? Samadal Ameis that a Mitzvah is one of the 4 Uschosh of Kameis. David writes in Tehillim, Nitzor L'Shoin Chameira. Why should you be Makbin Nitzor L'Shoin Chameira? To get out of what? What he says in Tehillim, 1 capital earlier, Lamed Gimel, Lahatzil Mimoves Nafshah. You want to save yourself from Isam, Mitzvah Uschosh of Kameis? They're taken for Lahatzil Mimoves Nafshah. Osios Roshei Tevis, Nun Lamed Mem. And that's the Tikkun in the next capital of Tehillim. Nitzor L'Shon Chameira. Lahatzil Mimoves Nafsham. Lahatzil Lamed Mimoves Mem. Nafsham Nun. What's the Tikkun? Nitzor L'Shon Chameira. Nun, Lamed, and Mem. The Tikkun of Lahatzil Mimoves Nafsham, the way to fix yourself is Ayidei Nitzor L'Shon Chameira. So now let's get back to the idea of the 2 birds. So we have the tzipor. We understand that tzipor is always speaking. You're going to take a tzipor. Rashi says basically more nerchin. You spoke a little too much. You're going to bring the tzipor. But the tzipor is the symbol of tahara. It's exactly the zos tahara semitzayra. This is the way you're going to purify yourself with the tzipor, which is the symbol of yoni tahara, the symbol of purity. That's why the Rabbeinu B'chai told us in Perek Beis of Shmos that Moshe Rabbeinu married Tzipora because she was matar, her entire bias. That is the reason why her name, or Metzias, or was named for the bird. That's the Indian of Tahara. So he wants to begin the Tahara process. He's got to bring the birds. Asks Rav Shlomo Gansvi the Sefer Apirion, and Geshmak Apirion, Rabbi, everything else was a Hagdama for this tonight. Comes along Rav Shlomo Gansvi and Apirion. What do you need 2 birds? The whole idea is achieved when you have 1 bird. So just tell me you have the tzipor, but he has to bring what? He has to bring 2 birds. Kasha number 1. And why 2 birds? State Tziporim. Why 2 birds? And what are you going to do with them? And what's he going to do with the other tzipor? He's going to send it al pnei asodeh. There's going to be one that's shechted and one that lives. What's that symbolism all about? Yes, there's the Gavaldig Shid of a Rav, the Shid of a Rabbi Yecheskel. Shag Hammerstein and Divri Yecheskel says one is going to get Torah, one's going to get Tefillah. A beautiful Hasidic approach. Where Rabbi say, listen into this Gavaldig period, the Baal Kitzur Shocharach and Shlomo Gansfried. Why are you taking two birds? One would have sufficed to give us the symbolism. Why is one shechted and one is let to live? And kasha number 3, you send it al pnei asodeh. What do you have to send the living word al pnei asodeh? And the Tosefta Darshans in the Gomen Paraches, you don't send it al pnei ha'ir. You don't send it to el pnei habayis. You send it out to the sodeh. What's the symbolism of sending it out dafka the sodeh? So explains Rosh Shlomo Gansfried. It's a very important yesod. We have a Gemara and the end of the 6th parak of Chulin. Daf Pei Tes Amin Aleph. I think it's so geschmack that where is it? And Daf Pei Tes Pitput. Daf Pei Tes. Nothing's coincidental. The I know what? Listen in on the Gemara. Rabbi Yavo says. So Yitzchak says, based on the pasuk in Tehillim and Ches, Amayder Siv Humnam Elim Tzadik Tidabeirun Meisham Tishvatu Bnei Adam Amnos Shalom Me'ol Haseh. What should be the trade? What should a mensch do in this world? Yasim Atzmo Kile. You should make yourself silent. Reb Shimon, the end of the first parak of Avos, Kol Yamei Gadati Ben Acham Lo Matzasi Leguvtov Mishtika Leguvtov Elishtika. Different girls. So Shtika is the way to go. You gotta go and be quiet. But see, you might think, well, what should a person do? Yasim Atzmo Kile. Make yourself silent the whole time. Yochel after Divrei Torah. You might think, oh, but does that mean I shouldn't speak in Divrei Torah? Make yourself completely silent. Tamalomer, Tzedek, Tidabeirun. I want you to go in and speak. Dainu and Chulin, pay test. Pay test, Pitput. Don't think it's just an Elam. You got to speak. You got to go ahead and speak. But speak one in Divrei Torah. Sanhedrin Tadi Tessim and Beis. What are you created for? Ki Adam Lo Mayula writes the pasuk in here. Parakei pasuk Zayin. 10 lines of Shakavatari Gemara. What is the Amelis? No, it's not Amo b'Malach. It's Amo b'Peh. What's Amo b'Peh? Based on the pasuk in Yeshua Aleph Ches. Hegis Yom Olayla. Based on the pasuk in Mishlei Tazayin. It's what? It's Amelis b'Peh, but it's Amelis b'Torah b'Peh. Erev and Nundalat Am Aleph Chayim Heim Lamotzayim. Chayim Heim Lamotzayim b'Peh. So you got to go ahead and you got to speak it out. The Gemara in the end of Megillah Lam Beis Am from Yochanan. You want to represent. You want to highlight the chashivas of the mitzvah satorah. Then you got to sing. It's got to be korei with the ne'ima. It's got to be being shown at together with the Zimra. You got to sing your learning, you got to speak it out. So don't make yourself an Elam. In fact, parenthetically, Shimshon Pinkus writes, Teferes Shimshon last week's Parshas Tazria, says we have the Yadu at the Kamaisa. It was on Purim, and one of the Bachrim in Radin got a little bit intoxicated, and he goes into the room of the Chavetz Chaim and Purim, and the Yeshiva Bachrim, they're all surrounding the Chavetz Chaim, and he runs over to the Chavetz Chaim, and he grabs onto the Chavetz Chaim. He says, Rabbi, I have to be near you in Gan Eden. I have to see you in Gan Eden. And everyone's rushing to get this Meshuggah away. He's mama's drunk and stupor. They want to get him out of there. Chavetz Chaim says, no, leave him. He says, Rabbi, I have to see you. I have to see you in Gan Eden. He says, you want to see me? He says, Yankel, if you want to see me, then take upon yourself a Kabbalah right here and right now that you will never say a word of Lashon Hara for the rest of your life. And the Bachar thinks about it and he says, I can't do it. Chavetz Chaim says, then take him out of here. How could that be? Rabbi, if the Chavetz Chaim offered you right here, right now, you could sit next to the Chavetz Chaim Amavi. You'll sell your house in Lawrence. I don't care how big it is. You'll sell all your cars, all your Lexi, and all your homes and your swimming pools and your vacations. You'll give up Pesach in Cancun, and Panama, Mexico, and Greece, and Morocco. You'll give up all the Pesachs. You'll give up the meat platters and the sushi platters. Who wouldn't? I don't know what you. I give it to Chavetz Chaim. Says, give it all up. He gives it. How could he not do it? How could he not take it? Because Chavetz Chaim is saying, yeah, if you're the Chavetz Chaim, you know who Kaya do. He used to speak a lot. Chavetz Chaim used to speak a lot. If you were the Chavetz Chaim, you could speak a lot and you could know never to say Rosh. Sometimes you know why he couldn't do it? Because he knew it meant Yasim Atzmo Kilim and have to be silent the rest of his life. Because he knew the only way you could actually take it on without a bli neder and say that I will never speak Lashon is for you to say I will never open up my mouth the rest of my life. Now, some people say to be near the Chavetz Chaim and his Dalai Amos and Gan Eden, maybe so Pinkus says he wasn't ready to kill himself. He wasn't ready to be silent. He's all alone in the world. He'll be silent. He wasn't ready to do that. But that's again, he wasn't thinking so clearly. He's thinking clearly enough to know if you can ask for the Chavetz Chaim one thing when you're drunk, ask to be near him Gan Eden, but he couldn't do it. Why? Because he wasn't ready to kill himself. Because we don't know how to go through life. He would have had to make himself an Elam. Abishter says that's not the Malach. What's the Malach? You got to speak in Divrei Torah. Zog the Sefer Apirian Gishmak. right? So someone got straight. I don't want you to take one bird. You're going to take one bird. We know the Ramban in the beginning of Vayikra, many other Rishonim and Achronim. Everything we do to the animals, it's merely the symbolism. It's the messer to glean, that all-important message. Whatever we do with animals, it's as if we should have it done unto ourselves, but we take the animal in our stead. They're kilu, the mamale makom. So what are you doing with the birds? You're going to kill one bird, and you're going to go ahead and bring another one to life. That tzipor is speaking all the time. You spoke a little too much. The tzipor is mefatfei tamid. You chirped away a little bit too much. Take one bird and kill it. Kill the you that was mitzayra chavshiv kameis. Get rid of that mitzayra that spoke a little too much. But keep one tzipor alive. Keep the koach hadibur alive. What koach hadibur? Speak and speak a plenty, but speak a plenty in what? Speak a plenty in Torah. Chayim hein l'motzi and l'motzi bepen. That is the Gemara Chol Peitasam and Aleph. Speak as much as you can. And Tzadik Tidaberu, and speak and speak and speak. But what are you going to do? You're going to take, that's why you're taking two birds. One's Keneged, the speech of Lashon Hara that takes you out of this world. And one is the Tzipor Chaya that brings you Chiyas. It's Chayim Ilamach Zikama. That's the one that infuses endless and abundant Chiyas into you. And that's the one you're going to send. But where are you going to send it? Al Pnei Asodeh. Zok the Sefer Bring. Don't send it to the ear. Don't send the nice city and everyone's got their beautiful homes. Don't send it to the workplace where you got your nice mahogany desk and your nice leather chair that you got from right in the end of the day. I want you to go to the Soda. What's the Soda? Good morning, Erevin Chabeis. It's what Tamid Chama Obing Ovid Bedoichek. The Gemara Darshans from Soda. That's where the farmers have to sweat and schwitz in order to eke out a living. They're not just sitting on. They got their real estate deals. They got their stock. They invested in Twitter. They followed Elon Musk on. They went up 30%. Oh, you know that. Sit back and do nothing and just no. What are you going to do? Pnei Asodeh, go out to the work. Put on the overalls and get dirty and get muddy and work in the soda. Who wants to be? Who's going to have the Torah? It's only going to be what? Misha Memes Atzma Aleha. Brachas Heyman Oliver Shimon Chai. Shoshon Tonas Tosar So Gershon Chuli Yisrael. Velonin and Ela Yedei Yisurin Torah Tzron Al Mavi. You want the Torah? You got to send the Chiyas. Where's your Chiyas going to be? Where are you going to speak? Go out to the soda. Go out and schwitz and work hard on Melis and Yigiyah the Torah. That's what I want you to have the Torah. Go out on Pnei Asodeh B'daf. Get two birds, not one. One shecht destroyed the mitzvah that spoke too much. Keep the other one alive. Keep it alive and well. Let it be mafatfeit. That highlights the pitbud in Divrei Torah. Speak as much as you can. Chulun peites. Pitbud. Go ahead and open your mouth. Speak in Divrei Torah, but where I saw that. Don't sit back and relax too much. You want to make it in learning. You have to be miyageya. You have to go ahead and schwitz and put in the time in the kaiches that meilus with Torah. Shmizaycha to speak a plenty. Moshe Rabbeinu, who transitioned from the lowest Devarim Anochi to Vayidaber Moshe's Kol HaDevarim Ha'ila. After marrying Tzipora, the Tzipor, he gives us all a Sefer Devarim Moshe Piatzu Amoron and writes that so Hamor, he became the greatest Medaber in the history of the world. Moshe, the lowest Devarim Anochi, emerges as the greatest Medaber. Koach HaTorah is what made him. That's the Koach HaTorah of Moshe Rabbeinu. We should be zoicha to tap into that. We see out in the Shema every step of the way. Chanani Manakash Omer.